It's going to be a little bit conversational. The description for the presentation is a little bit more in business factors and strategy. So, one of the things that I observe is there's a lot of demoware here. This is the XR conference. It is the XR conference. And I haven't seen a lot of people walking around with AR glasses, like actually using them. I haven't seen a lot of people pulling out their smartphone with an AR experience to try and figure out, like, exactly what is the wayfinding to the next session. Haven't seen it. We're from MicroOLED. MicroOLED, for those who aren't familiar, is a semiconductor manufacturer. We make microdisplays. We want, arguably more than anyone, to have lots of people buying microdisplays. That's what we're here to do. The company's a few decades old. A lot of people have already seen our microdisplays in scopes, in night vision, and in commercial, industrial, and what you might call enterprise applications. But like many of you, we have great conviction that AR is coming in new ways that will be even bigger than what we've seen in the past. We happen to be the largest manufacturer of microdisplays outside of Asia, just a footnote. So our view is that the market, as I was saying, like, we don't see people really using stuff yet, is not going to fully emerge until just a couple of basics. I'm sure most of us would agree. There's great brightness. Okay, you have to have bright displays. We make displays. We know displays have to be bright. The experience has to be fantastic. So we are actively selling AR products like these. And the first question that we always get is it intrusive? Is it distracting? Those are the consumer objections. Consumers are super excited about AR. Anytime you see AR, they want to demo it. They want to see it. But their very first concern is, am I going to get pop-ups? Are things going to happen all the time that take my attention away? And if you think about it, the adoption of the smartphone, we all know how significant that is. But we're also, many of us, a little ambivalent about it because it's taking our attention. This is the device that we use to communicate with friends and family and loved ones and do cool stuff and see nice pictures and buy stuff and get productivity done. We love our smartphones, but we're concerned about how much time and attention they take away from us. At least we get to choose when to look at it. And so there's a big concern from people. I use the word people, not end users, not consumers, people. Sorry if I'm a little pedantic or semantic about that, but I really want to humanize this. The biggest concern we see is competition for attention. Like if the purpose of AR is to deliver advertising and have pop-ups that Starbucks is 500 feet on the right, people are not psyched about that experience. They want to feel, and this is what we need to do as a community, make people feel better, smarter, faster. And the cool thing about using your eyes, as little marketing language is, we say that we deliver performance at the speed of sight, because nothing is faster than sight. So if you think about it, if we create applications and experiences that really deliver that way, that make people feel faster and smarter, that's addictive, and that's new value. We also don't want AR to be merely replacement for the smartphone, because that's not creating new value. That's just replacement value. We want new value. So how do you get there? So requirements would be appropriate non-cyborg design, social acceptance. I already mentioned the UX. Attainable price point. I'm going to come back to this in a moment. But it's always exciting when there are these extraordinary, all singing, all dancing, unlimited numbers of fields of view, eye tracking. Oh, for the low, low price of many thousands of dollars. I don't need to explain to anybody simple price elasticity and not just consumer response, but enterprise response. Where's the ROI in what we're trying to create in the XR community? So we've got to start to pay attention to price points. You've got to have long battery life. I know, I'm not here to take anybody down. There's a really cool pair of glasses here, have a great AR experience with 2-hour battery life. I don't need to tell anybody who spent time thinking about smartphones. Smartphones keep getting bigger, and they have bigger screens, and they have bigger batteries. We finally got to all-day battery life, and that's sort of the table stakes, price of admission for electronics these days. Our audio earbuds need to last all day. Anything we do on AR needs to last all day. And if you want to make a solution for enterprise, your power management scheme has got to last all day. It's got to last a work shift. You got an enterprise project, how long is a work shift? How long is an Uber shift? How long is a driver in the FedEx, UPS, DHL truck in the truck for a shift? That's what we got to design for. That is the product spec. That's the minimum viable product for an enterprise class AR product. All day battery life. It's got to be lightweight. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment, but these two things are intimately related because processors are light. The displays are actually very light. Polycarbonate lenses are very light. It's the battery that's weighing a lot. So I'll get into this in just a moment because it's our point of view that to really design the system, you've got to think about how to sip the energy that's coming from the battery so that you can have a smaller battery. We don't have the luxury of making eyewear bigger and bigger like the smartphone has trended. We need to make AR experience get as close as possible to normal corrective vision eyewear or sunglasses, which median weight is 26 grams. And there's a lot of usability studies that say that people will not tolerate more than 40 grams. This isn't new, not a new study. It's very well established by traditional eyewear manufacturers. When you see people with big, chunky glasses, that's a fashion play. People don't tolerate it all day. That's one of several glasses they have, or they wear it on special occasions, or they're really committed to a fashion statement. It's just not, there's fatigue. I think we all know it. The glasses get uncomfortable. We cannot possibly make AR solutions for enterprise that weigh a lot. It's one thing to tell the soldier of the future at a DARPA project, you've got to wear a 20-pound helmet. That's one idea. But that is not going to work for mass adoption of AR solutions. So what do? We made a 1 milliwatt OLED microdisplay. Pencil for scale. Super low power. Your typical LED display is something like 30 to 50 milliwatts. There are some really compelling full color displays that have been announced just this past week, I think related to AWE. They're like 250 milliwatts. That's 250 times more power consumption than what we're doing. Okay, and if you read through the whole thing, you get to the bottom and you say, okay, 16 levels of gray or yellow. We got to have color. We could debate about use case and whether color is really a requirement, but we accept that the visceral response to color is really strong. We just got to do it. Pilots have used heads-up displays that are monochrome or maybe two-color for many years. It's very functional, it's very practical, but for widespread adoption of AR, got to do color. So our big announcement this week is 36-gram eyewear with 12-hour battery life with a multicolor display. Thank you. We appreciate it. If my colleagues in France could hear you now. So how do we do it? We've got a 6-gram display module. So when you turn the glasses around, all of the electronics are sitting on the nose bridge. We call it an optical engine. There are 2 sensors, one for ambient light, so it actually can automatically adjust brightness. There's also a gesture control, so you can change the display. So we accept that some people are going to gesture. Like if these are the glasses. You can gesture like this, and it sort of cycles through multiple dashboards. Come to our booth, and we'll demo. And actually, my colleague Xavier is here, and you can see it right after the presentation if you'd like. But there's another nice thing about this platform I'll get to in a moment, which is you don't have to use voice. It doesn't have to have built-in audio. Use whatever earbuds you like. You don't even have to do the gesture thing, because these connect to an iOS device, an Android device. It's the first AR product that connects directly to an Apple Watch. And what that means is, if I'm wearing my glasses and I want to change the screen, I can just tap my watch, and it will change my screen. So I don't have to do all of this all the time. And really thinking about, tapping my glasses as a means of interface, that's good some of the time, not all of the time. And so there will be moments where the more familiar touchscreen interface of the device that you already have, the really great processor that you already have, the development platform that you already know, the business model attached to those apps that's already widely accepted is what drives these glasses. This is not a new platform. It's a development framework that works with the smartphone. It doesn't compete with the smartphone. That's huge. Because we're not telling anybody, oh, there's a steep learning curve to go figure out how to use this. It uses the device they've already got as one of the methods of control and interface. So, a few notes. This is my colleague, Bradley. He's from New Zealand. He's an endurance athlete, and he's in charge of operations and manufacturing for these glasses. And he's kind of out of central casting, so we took the picture of Bradley. You can see the photographer reflected in the glasses. What are the implications of everything that I've mentioned for the XR community? So let's talk about market addressability. Instead of competing with a smartphone or tablets or phablets, why not extend them? And that's where there's incremental value. That's where IT departments have less resistance, because they're already managing these devices. They're already managing the subscriptions that are attached to those devices. There are a lot of vested interests in that whole ecosystem, both from a development point of view, and then what about user acceptance? So one of the issues that we see is there have been many great, let's call them experiments. I think some of the companies that have done that wouldn't really think of them as experiments. There have been really sincere commitments to deploy AR, MR, VR products. But they last on the market for a year or two, and they seem to fade away. We haven't seen one that has such strong traction that it has sustainability and durability. And so one of the implications of this is that it aligns with something that's very familiar, both from an operations point of view as well as from a human point of view. If the person who's using the product already knows how to use their Android phone or their iPhone, just to set it up, just from a configuration point of view, and perhaps from a user experience point of view, that's a big, big way of reducing friction and opposition. It's a way of faster deployments. It's a way for better program management, acceptance, adherence, acceleration. So we're not trying to make a platform that competes with the smartphone. We're trying to make a solution that extends the value of the smartphone into new value. There can be a lot of premium recurring revenue services that are attached to things like this. I'll go back to the example of, imagine delivery services. There are a lot of states that have hands-free laws. I don't know about you, but when I see the brand new Amazon Rivian delivery truck come by with a beautiful touchscreen interface in the dashboard, and then the delivery person has to hop out of that truck and grab this other thing and then take a picture of the package on your doorstep. This is the thing that's competing with their attention as they race to the next stop. It's not hands-free. What if that experience was, here's the address, here's the turn right, turn left, heads-up instructions to the next delivery stop, all of the contextual information in real time, and now hands on the wheel, can still interface with the vehicle, but you are compliant with a hands-free law in a given state, reducing liability, improving efficiency, improving accuracy. I don't know about you, I still get the picture of my package on my neighbor's door. I wonder if it's because there's a hands-free and attention problem. A couple more things about market adoption. So it's a simpler and more focused approach. We're not trying to boil the ocean yet. We actually see this as a community, not just our point of view, but as a community. People have been seeing science fiction of AR and MR solutions for years. So that's one of the reasons why they're so interested. But what they're really seeing in the Terminator and Back to the Future and all these movies is a heads-up display. They're not seeing full slam. I mean, there is some slam in science fiction, but that's the overwhelming experience that people might not be ready to jump into in one step. Maybe giving them a simpler experience that makes them feel faster, better, smarter, just by giving them the real-time contextual data is a good bridge in sort of a global go-to-market strategy for AR. Do we really need to reach to, wide field of view, all immersive, all singing, all dancing, all color, fully interactive eye tracking as step number one? Maybe step number one is actually a little bit simpler. Also has the benefit of being lighter. And I'll come back to the other point about much lower cost. So, I don't know, just an interactive moment. Anyone want to take a guess what these might retail for? $699. Do I hear $7? $750? Anyone? Like, any other guesses? How much? $250. So these are available in our consumer business today for $329, which is not our BOM. That's a retail price that is price engineered to have retail margin. I was waiting for another round of applause. Thank you, thank you. So where would this work? Think about, a couple of other use cases. So start by talking about enterprise. It's the name of the presentation, but even more than UPS and Amazon and FedEx and DHL drivers, there are delivery guys that are truly in a hands-free situation. You can't look at your watch. You can't look at your phone. Even if you mounted your phone in like a quad lock, super secure handlebar mount, it's really tough to look down. This guy is fortunate to be in a low traffic situation, but bus could fly by inches away in any moment now. So the display that's giving real-time contextual information is super valuable. We are a European company, so we sort of see the e-bike thing and the delivery scooters in a much more profound way than people might observe in North America. But even in the US and urban cities, I'm sure everybody sees delivery scooters all the time. At $299, $329, this is a self-purchase item. It's marginally more expensive than Oakley's with no electronics. And all you need to do is keep your cell phone in your back pocket and the app open, and you have this experience. So what else does it work for? Pick, pack, and ship and warehousing, anything procedural, production and machinery operation, preparation services, again, it's sort of procedural. Even in a medical or clinical context, think surgical context where heads down, like really focused on the patient. You can't constantly be looking up at displays and the data that's coming from all the patient vitals. What if you had the surgery clock and all the patient vitals in your natural field of view, like that? And by the way, this product doesn't just need iOS or Android. It will also integrate with a lot of other basic Bluetooth data devices. So could be a continuous glucose monitor that has Bluetooth. Many of them do. Automatically get that data into your field of view. So, conclusion. Super advanced AR, let's say HoloLens, expensive and very heavy. Basic AR, still expensive and still heavy. Usually way more than 40 grams with only a couple of hours of battery life. This is what we call light AR. It's sort of a triple entendre. It's lightweight, light on the wallet, and has light development requirements. Anybody, like you got a developer on your team who's an iOS developer, can probably have a prototype in a couple of days. We have created ActiveLook as a set of development protocols that address software, firmware, and if you want to use our hardware, also has instructions for integrating our display and communicating with the display. We think this is what most, like people are like, what are the killer apps? We think these are what most applications will really require first for more widespread adoption of AR. We think this is what most people actually expect at this stage of technological adoption. People have no idea what to expect from like fully robust, like advanced AR. But they do know what science fiction has led them to believe, which is kind of Terminator. Just give me the real-time facts. My hand's holding a gun or an axe or a hose, or like just what's happening when I can't reach for the phone, which I love and I'm not giving up. So this is a clear path to incremental value, faster adoption. And by the way, it's achievable immediately. We're already selling a consumer version of this product in a direct-to-consumer model, but the same platform that has been created is equally applicable to enterprise. We have some enterprise partners. Come by the booth, we'll be glad to talk about it. And with a couple minutes left, ask anything. Thank you. Lights are bright, so I don't see hands. Anybody? Oh.
I just came from Display Week, so it's not easy to, it's difficult to not talk about hardware specs. Can you mention something about the brightness and the resolution of your displays in microns?
Sure, so in microns. So my colleague might know the microns answer, but the brightness. So I think, again, the community has become very interested in how many nits. Part of the reason is that waveguides have been dominating the discussion, and you need a lot of nits to deal with the losses and lack of efficiency in waveguides. This isn't a waveguide solution, so our nits are much lower. Won't sound competitive. That's part of how we achieve this extraordinary efficiency with a 1 milliwatt display.
Okay.
But we fully understand how bright it needs to be in practical terms to work in ambient daylight on a sunny day. So is it bright enough? Come see for yourself. The answer is yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
You bet. Awesome. So we don't need to put hellfire into the display in order to deal with the losses associated with waveguides. It's a far more efficient system, and that's how we get to the tiny battery.
So what is the field of view?
It's actually at a very limited range. We can do a little bit of calibration using the app to control. It's almost like calibration on a TV. People perceive the actual position a little bit differently depending on the width of your retinas. So the current product only projects in the right eye, but to the left of the center of your pupil. So most people perceive the data to be straight ahead or slightly to the left, even though they're seeing it out of the right eye. That's a really strategic choice. because when the data is projected into peripheral vision, it creates all the dizziness and nausea that was associated with Google Glass, for example, which had the outboard peripheral view. If your eye is constantly going sideways while you're driving a motorcycle, that's a problem. It's just human factors issue. We avoid that. We know in the future we'll look at more modular architectures that work for people who might have a vision issue with the right eye or some other limitation. But at this stage, part of how we achieve this solution is by making some MVP type choices.
Thank you.
You bet.
Is that a working model in your head?
It is.
Can we try it?
Anybody who wants to try one, this is the current monochrome display, and my colleague Xavier actually has the multicolor display. You're more than welcome to check it on here, or come by our booth. We'll be here till Friday.
Awesome.
Thank you.